welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, of course. You good old boys in Canada, we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south. In the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful October the 9th, 2020. Round of the Portes. Bonjour, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, we were left a little baffled today by your president, Donald Trump, because he would not denounce the Boogaloo Boys up in Michigan
Really?
who attempted to, kidnap and threaten the life of the governor, Gregory Whitmer. But, he wanted to say that they should prosecute Democrats for this situation, Hillary Clinton and President Obama. So, and then he gets on radio and starts dropping the F-bomb today. So,
really?
That's your boy up in the White House.
I
want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. All they do is fight for the fairness and health of America.
Yeah, they really do, Big C. I didn't know what POTUS had done today. Thanks for letting me know. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars also all around the world. Just say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, even in the eye of the storm. And I really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Big C, I told you I love doing the pause, but I will never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Big C, why is that so important to you?
Well, Charlton, as we speak tonight, we have over 30,000 American citizens in the hospital with COVID-19. Many of those are veterans, Charlton, and a lot of those veterans were destitute prior to coming upon that disease. We lose some 24 veterans a day to COVID-19, suicide in this country.
Yeah.
Not just COVID-19, but suicide. And our administration pays no attention to it. Our administration has said they would do nothing to help our veterans during this COVID-19 crisis, whether it's Vice President Pence or President Trump. But, we give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, because it helps our veterans and it helps our everyday citizens also.
Yeah.
Suicide has become a pandemic in America. Many people feeling depressed, left out, financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, and they turn to this horrific disease, Charlton. And especially during this time of COVID-19, with many Americans feel they have nowhere to go and nowhere to turn, just like our veterans have been, Charlton, and suicide has been rampant. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline number will help a lot of American citizens, but we need more assistance in getting out that number and aid to those citizens as we do on a daily basis.
Big C, I love giving out that information. I just really do, and I love giving it out. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. If you're able to text, just text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, like a lot of people do online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and you can get to some help. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV, on Dish TV, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants, and then Say Hey Kids. Also, the home run leader, Barry Bonds. When you reach out to him, just tell him Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this country to put their property listings on TV, just like McDonald's does it. Car dealerships do it. Sports teams are doing it too. Watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. That's bigcsports.pacwm.com. Quicken Loans underwrites most of our loans on the wholesale side, the number one lender in the country. I want to ask you before I ask people to vote, because sometimes I don't hear. Some people say I don't listen. I remember my daughter, who's a grown woman now, graduated college. Sometimes she would tell me, "Daddy, you just don't listen to me, Big C." So sometimes I don't listen. Did you say that POTUS used a profanity, or did I miss it?
Yeah, he was throwing profanities out today in a radio program that he was on, Charlton. Never before in the history of America has an American president used profanity in a broadcast. But he went that low today. I mean, it's as low as he's been. I mean, well, I don't even know if that's as low as he's been. But, this is where he's delegated himself to.
Wow.
Down to the curb, playing handball against a snake. And that's what Donald Trump is today.
Yeah. I love talking to you, but I've never heard anyone playing handball against a snake, Big C, unless you use a snake as a metaphor. It's all fair in love and war. And this is why it's so important. I even heard Shaquille O'Neal, NBA basketball Hall of Famer, say that this is the first time in his life that he's voted. And I don't even want to say I'm happy and proud that he did. What a shame that some of our guys are just so intellectually vapid. They only want to care about sports. And now we have this snake in the White House. I mean, never too late, but that's shocking to me. That's why I never want to be a shut up and dribble kind of show. America, please register to vote. Text the word vote to 26797. You got to register. You got to tell all your friends. Tell them Big C, the NFL said it. And I want to throw one more thing on it, Big C. I know we lost John Lewis about a month ago. And I think about the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And I think about Dr. King and that March on Washington. I think about the conversations I've had with my parents and grandparents about what it's like to be black in the United States of America. Shame on people for not voting. I don't care how much money you have. Big C, why should everyone vote and not keep looking at athletes? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, for years people have said their vote doesn't matter. The media is the main reason why a lot of people have avoided voting, Charlton, because the negativity that comes out. Instead of just going vote for somebody, even if write in a name. Just put in a vote. Make sure it counts.
Yeah, I think so many times black men were lynched for learning how to read. And black men were beaten for trying to teach people how to read. And it's a shame when we have multimillionaires that still don't vote and people died for them. It's amazing how we celebrate so many people. That's why I say Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. I want to get on Big C's NFL football games coming up, and we got a lot of stuff to cover, Big C. So I wanna run into some football. But before I even get there, you just jogged my mind over something else. I know women who've been in abusive relationships. And sometimes you say, well, why do you stay? And I've heard, well, you don't understand. He only does it when he's mad. Or he only does it when I say the wrong thing. He only does it when I push the wrong buttons. POTUS is holding another rally at the White House tomorrow. And another one in Florida. It's a shame Florida spiked 2,900 infections yesterday. He's called black women monsters. And I ask any of my white brethren, you NFL and NBA owners that pay money to the POTUS, what would you say to your daughter if she brought home a man and called her an ugly monster right in front of your face? Would you welcome that man into your household? Would you vote for him? Would you tell your daughter, hey, it's just the way guys behave? Or would you say, get the hell out of my house and get the hell out of the Oval Office? Big C, your thoughts?
I couldn't even identify with that, Charlton.
I understand. So why do so many white guys, Big C, your thoughts?
It's a way of life. It's the way they've been brought up. I mean, stupid is what stupid is, to quote the great Forrest Gump. All right? If this is what you've been accustomed to in life, then you accept that. And many of them have, Charlton. This is the way they were raised. They watched it from as a child, as an adolescent. So this has been a way of life, just as racism is in America.
Yeah.
But when you want to sit there and be naive to the fact of what constantly occurs in America over and over, it's just like when I'm going to use the term white people.
Yeah.
And when I talk about racism, if those guys in Michigan, those 13 guys that were arrested by the feds in that state and the FBI had been black, that would be the news cycle every step that occurred.
Yeah.
But they were not. These were white militias that were executing what the Constitution says, Charlton. I keep telling you, it's a bad damn document. The Constitution gives them the right to do what they did. And because they were white people doing it, evil white people, it's acceptable. And so you can use naivete saying, well, what's my thoughts and how would you look at that?
Yeah.
I look at it the way it's written. I'm a realist about that. I'm not trying to put some cloak over something. Say, well, maybe if you interpret it different, they interpret it the way it's written. This is the reason why when he appoints Supreme Court justices, he says he wants people to interpret the Constitution the way it's written.
Yeah.
And when those white boys up in Michigan wanted to go kill the governor and her family,
wow,
they read the militia part of the Constitution, Charlton, the right to bear arms. And so when you can go into the state capitol of a state bearing arms, and you're more armed than the police that are there to protect the politicians, and you have more rights than them, that's what the damn Constitution offers you.
Well, my white brethren, how do you go and vote for that garbage? Because they're coming after your kids.
Why do you think he's in the White House? You ask, how can they go vote for it? Who in the hell you think voted him into the White House, Charlton?
Yeah.
You think all the black people in America, all the Hispanic people, Asian people in America voted him into the White House? Who keeps him in power? The white Senate, Charlton. They chose not to impeach him because they felt what he was doing was representing them. This is where you get lost at, is that the people who advocate and stump for him could have got him out of there, Charlton. When he was impeached by the Congress, the senator knows he's our spokesperson. He can actually go out and mouth what we have not been able to say for decades.
Yeah. Well, for women, you got to know when you got a snake in the bed, but some of you like snakes. Is all fair and love and war. Big C, I want to get on the Big C's NFL top football games coming up this weekend. I know people got to get out and vote. Man, it's so important this time of day. We have on Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. East Coast time on Fox Sports, we have the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. The Falcons are favored by 2, and this is a game down in the NFC South. I want to get your thoughts on Carolina's been playing a lot better football lately, Big C. Your thoughts?
Teddy Bridgewater is taking control of that offense. He beat the Atlanta Falcons last year when he was quarterbacking the New Orleans Saints during Drew Brees' timeout.
Yeah.
He understands what that defense has and does not have in Atlanta. Right now, they're very poor. Matt Ryan is a little skittish right now because all the pressure is on him.
Yeah.
They may be without Julio Jones once again in this game. I like Carolina because Teddy Bridgewater has full command of this offense now that he's gotten in sync with the rest of his teammates.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. I want to jump back into Thursday night's game, because your good old boy Nick Foles, that gets no love. He's like Rodney Dangerfield, the late Rodney Dangerfield. I get no respect. And he led the Chicago Bears to come from behind scoring. They had 2 late scorers in the first half and then led them down into field goal range, and they kick a winning field goal over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. And I want to get your thoughts about that game, but I also have some comments about Tom Brady being a little bit two-faced with his players, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this was a tremendous defensive performance last night. I mean, people want to rave about the quarterback. This game was all about the defense. When you think about what both teams did defensively,
yeah.
I mean, it was a dominant performance from both defensive lines. The linebackers were outstanding in this game. And you talk about some tenacious hitting. This goes back to the NFC Central Division of the old days when Tampa was in that same division with the Chicago Bears and Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
They brought that old school brand of football last night, which was exciting to see. Quarterbacks are always going to get the marquee. But you can't sit there and say that the quarterbacks had bad games when these defensive players are outstanding. You're talking about a wealth of all pros on both sides of the ball, and they performed that way last night. So both quarterbacks had limited production.
Yeah, and I want to make sure we turn your volume up as much as we can, Big C. I know it's storming down south. I like what you're saying. Defense is great, and I know you've been sided with defense because you're a defensive guy. But let me ask your honest – well, I know you're going to give me the honest way. You're not like POTUS. You're going to be honest. When you have a quarterback that screams and yells at somebody for making a mistake, running the wrong route, dropping the ball, how many times has he been screamed at for his interceptions, his pick six, and when you don't even know how to manage the clock at the end, at some point in time when you say, you know what, guys, my bad, I messed up, that make any sense? He's losing respect, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
Well, I can't say that he's losing respect because it's a multitasking thing when it comes down to clock management. You got to have a coach that knows what time it is, what down it is on the field. Head coach. You got to have an offensive coordinator that knows what down it is on the field. You got to realize they're calling in the play from the sideline.
Yeah.
So also in calling in the play, you got to remind the individual what down that it is when you call that play. I know a lot of onus was put on Brady at the end of the game because of the misinterpretation, thinking that the fourth down was a third down.
Yeah.
But that's a key task when you think about everybody involved in calling the play. You have first down, second down, third down, and fourth down equations when you're calling the play in from the sideline.
Yeah.
So there was a lack of communication all the way around in that scenario. It wasn't the greatest of offensive games. That's what people have to understand. You're not going to get a 6 touchdown performance every game from Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He went from 6 to 1. That's what happened. But his defense did not hold up and allowed Chicago to outscore them.
Yeah, well, I understand. And we're going to try to pump your microphone up too, Big C. I understand. But it's all fair and love and war. I also want to go to another game that had the potential of being really great when the season began. We have the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 1-2-1. And they're playing at the Baltimore Ravens that are 3-1. It's a Sunday, 1 p.m. East Coast time kickoff on CBS Sports. The Ravens are favored by 13 points. That's a lot, especially in an NFL game. And I want to get your thoughts on that. You got a young quarterback coming in there, finding his stride. Is 13 too many points, Big C? Your thoughts?
Not really, because Cincinnati hasn't been that good against the run defense all year long. They struggled there. Joe Burrow has been throwing the ball an absorbent amount of time in games, and that's not going to benefit them well.
Yeah.
You know, Baltimore has to come out and get a lead early. They have to practice ball control like they did last week versus Washington. You know that Cincinnati's going to throw the ball, even with Mixon in the backfield, who went for over 100 yards last week. But I think that defensive line of the Baltimore Ravens, as well as that secondary, will get after Joe Burrow, and he'll suffer his next loss of the season, and Baltimore will go up 4-1 on the season.
You want to see how a running quarterback and a passing quarterback can go against each other. We'll see what happens there. The Philadelphia Eagles, they found some wings. Somebody has stolen their wings earlier in the year, but they found their wings. They are 1-2-1. They're going to run into a steel door, the steel curtain, the battle for Pennsylvania. The Steelers are 3-0. It's a Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. And the line has the Steelers by 7, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, the Steelers have been off for a couple of weeks. I mean, you got to give the Eagles some praise for what they did when they flew out to California. And you know, Eagles like fish. And they eat well in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they got a little momentum going with them. And, I mean, right now they're the best team in the NFC East.
Yeah.
You got to understand, Carson Wentz got motivated last week when they put Jalen Hurts in the lineup for a couple of games.
Yeah.
All of a sudden that light came on in his mind, knowing what he had to do offensively.
Yeah.
They're still a little weak in the receiving core, but Carson Wentz will have a big game once again. The Steelers got to get back in game playing mode. This is the team without a preseason. Then they had 2 weeks off, Charlton. James Conner should be healthy for the Steelers. And this is the Battle of Pennsylvania. James Conner gets over 100 yards on the ground. The Steelers have an easy day. You know Ben is going to find his receivers. He got a chance to rest his arm for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And so he now should be feeling good.
You know, I like something you said about the Eagles put in Hurts, and it gave Carson Wentz the chance to get on the sideline and see how he used to be a couple of years ago. If they didn't keep him on the bench, they put him back in. But sometimes you need to have someone take a pause and see what's going on the field and go back in. I like that, and I would think that Miami might learn something from that, but that's just my opinion. But very good plans that you brought that up, Big C. The Buffalo Bills, they are 4-0, Big C. They are at the Tennessee Titans. That game was scheduled for Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. I think they backed it up. And, Big C, I got to honestly say to you, this seems to me like POTUS holding a rally at the White House tomorrow. It doesn't make any sense, but I know it's about football, and they're going to put safety second and football first. Give me your thoughts on that game going up.
Well, this is the game I see the Buffalo Bills staying undefeated unless Derrick Henry can get over 150 yards on the ground. You got to think about run, pass equally with the Buffalo Bills. This is not a one-dimensional team.
Yeah.
I know Ryan Tannehill has been hot at the start of the season, but they've been in some awfully close games down there in Tennessee. And I think having that week off is going to hurt them because they're going to lose a lot of sync in that offensive line as far as run blocking. I like Buffalo in this game.
Yeah, Buffalo's looking really good. And then, you know, Allen going from throwing Cantaloupe and Fireball, California. Hey, the fishing's really good down there in the Central Valley. And now he's throwing the touchdowns in the NFL. The Rams 3-1 at the Washington Redtails 1-3. It's a Sunday 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And the Rams are favored by 7. I don't like what they're doing to Hoskins, Big C. You gave us some stats last week about Troy Aikman. Started off 1-15 when he came into the league, Big C. I think you said Manning went 3-13. And this guy has 1 win on the season, but that's not enough to keep him in the driver's seat, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a plus for Dwayne Haskins to sit down and not have to face Aaron Donald. So that's not going to destroy his confidence having to face that fiercest pass rush from the Los Angeles Rams. When you think about Allen, this is a guy who lost his last 6 starts when he was in Carolina. Got Ron Rivera fired, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So is he going to duplicate the same thing? He hasn't showed anything, Charlton, that he's a competitive NFL quarterback. And so now he's coming in against one of the fiercest pass rushers in the league.
Yep.
The Los Angeles Rams offense is hot. When you think about Jared Goff and his wealth of weapons,
they're good.
They've rounded into form, and they're just going to destroy the Washington Football Club in this game. They have a great pass rush, but that pass rush is not going to be enough against that Rams running game.
Yeah, and Haskins got demoted, and he has more wins than 2 quarterbacks put together in New York and Donald and Jones. It's all fair and love and war, Big C. Jacksonville Jaguars, they're 1-3. At the Houston Texans, they're 0-4. They got rid of the coach. We're going to see if that works. Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And the Texans come in favored by 6.5. And I know they're also going to be dealing with weather down in Texas, even though they're in the dorm. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I look at this game as an aerial shootout. Gunnar Minshew is going to let it fly in this game because they have nothing to lose. They know that the Texans will be playing on emotion because, they gotten rid of O'Brien. But they haven't showed me enough from the Texas perspective that they can just go outright outscore anybody.
Yeah.
They tried to get into a shootout with the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Could not hold the lead. I see the same thing with Jacksonville, a team that's going to come out there and throw. And Jacksonville has a much better running game than what a lot of people give them for with the rookie Robinson in the backfield.
Yeah.
And I see this being a field goal game, Charlton. And Jacksonville may keep them winless on the season.
Wouldn't that be an insult, a slap in the face if that makes sense to you, Big C? I want to take a game, I'm telling you, there's something about the old rivalry with the Raiders and the Chiefs. This time the Raiders are coming from Las Vegas. They are 2-2. They're going into the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. They're 4-0 with the great Patrick Mahomes, as you call them. It's a Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And the Chiefs are favored by 12. Are you buying that with division rivals, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to ask you this question, Charlton, to see if you got the answer to it. Who was the last Raider quarterback to go into Kansas City and win a game at Arrowhead?
Rich Gannon.
Who?
Rich Gannon.
Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer?
Who won a game prior to him?
Who is that?
DeMarcus Russell.
Oh, really?
Hell no, the Raiders ain't got a chance. Is that point spread enough? No, they're going to probably need 17.
Yeah, and John Gruden's he's a football mind. They always say that. So we'll see how his football mind holds up after he gets a hold of some catch-up coming from Patrick Mahomes. It's all fair and love and war. I want to take you to the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. They got to get back on their feet, or they got to get back on their wings, if that makes sense to you. They're 2-2 at the hapless New York Jets at 0-4. And this game scares me. It's a West Coast team going to the East Coast. It's a Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And Arizona's favored by 7, but they've been trying to lose games lately, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is the one where Arizona can get healthy, Charlton. When you look at what they can do offensively, you think about what Brett Rippon did last week against the Jets. Okay?
Yeah.
He just picked them apart. Kyler Murray is a much better passer than Brett Rippon. The receiving core in Arizona is much better than the receiving core that was in Denver.
Yeah.
And the running game is just going to be a downhill effect. We talked about the Jets earlier when we talked about Joe Flacco getting the start.
Yeah.
This is a team that can't score, they can't run the ball, they can't pass the ball, they can't block, and they damn sure can't tackle anybody. So this should be a runaway win for the Cardinals.
Yeah, they got to find a way to let that bird fly. Let that bird fly, baby. It's all fair and love and war. The Miami Dolphins, I like what you said about the Eagles brought in Jalen Hurts, and then Carson Wentz had a chance to just take a pause and get his groove back, and that's how they won at San Francisco. The Dolphins flying. The Dolphins don't fly. I don't think they fly, PC, but they are swimming into San Francisco. And the 49ers are 2-2. The Dolphins are 1-3. It's a Sunday 4:05 p.m. East Coast time kickoff on Fox Sports. And the 49ers are favored by 8.5. And they're saying that Jimmy Garoppolo may play. In my opinion, keep him out and see if Mullins has his groove back and maybe play him in the second half if Mullins is struggling. Big C, your thoughts?
You start your starters when they're ready to go back into the lineup, but I think that when you talk about the Niners, they may be over their head again against another animal, Charlton. When you look at what the Dolphins can do offensively, this is a team that the 49ers are right now for the picking, Charlton. They haven't showed me anything like they did last year where they could dominate the game on the ground, where their running game was just that strong. It has not showed up this year in any of the games that they played. And Fitzpatrick, if he can keep it down under 2 interceptions in this game, Charlton, the Dolphins will come out of the East Bay there with a win.
I remember the Dolphins came up to Sanford Stadium and lost Super Bowl 1984. Joe Montana, the great Dan Marino. And I'm thinking it's going to be another 49er win, but I like what you're saying. They got to pick him off a couple of times because Fitzpatrick doesn't know what color jersey he's throwing to at times. And this is the team, the next game coming up, the Indianapolis Colts. These good old boys are 3-1. They're at the Browns, Big C, also 3-1, the Cleveland Browns. It's a Sunday 4:25 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on CBS Sports. I think the Browns are still going to be a little bit high from what happened down in Texas. I like the Colts. They're favored by 1.5 going in, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, let me give you a little summation of the Cleveland Browns, Charlton. They're 3-1 on the season, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, they played 3 teams that are combined. Those 3 teams have 3 wins, okay?
Yeah.
So think about that. They played 3 teams that have 3 wins.
Yeah.
So the Browns are not that great of a team. They have as many wins as their 3 opponents.
Yeah.
4 opponents, 3 opponents altogether.
Yeah.
The one loss that they have on the season, Charlton, came against a team with 3 wins. Okay? So they show that they can beat up on the weak system. They can do it. The Indianapolis Colts have 3 wins.
Yeah.
They have the best defense in the NFL. We know that they're only giving up 77 yards a game rushing, where the Browns had 300 last week against Dallas.
Yeah.
The difference between the Colts and the Cowboys is
a lot.
These side of the horses kick a little butt. Those Cowboys got taken for a ride last week.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen against the Colts. They will throttle the Browns.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, this is make or break. Can the Browns beat the Broncos? We'll see what happens in that game coming up against Sunday, 4:25. It's amazing time on the East Coast time. I want to take you to another game. The Broncos are 1-3 at the New England Patriots 2-2. And who really knows with all the COVID talk, Big C, but it's scheduled Sunday, 4:25 p.m., kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. And I hear they may be pushing that game back. I'm not really sure. But the Patriots are favored by 11 points. And their defense alone can score 11 points, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a toss-up game. We don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be with the Patriots.
Yeah.
We saw that Brian Hoyer could not produce. Still, he's lost his last 11 starts in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I see the Patriots if Bill Belichick wants to be realistic, going with Jarrett Stidham. He showed a lot more promise than what Brian Hoyer did in the offense. We know that the Patriots can run the ball. And that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to run the ball against this Denver defense and then pick their spots passing.
Yeah.
Brett Rippon, if he comes out and has the same type of game he had against the Jets where you throw 3 interceptions, New England comes out with an easy victory.
Yeah, they got a great defense. We'll see what happens there. Big C, one more game before the Big C pause. They'll come back on the second half and do 2 more and get into some more sports with the Lakers and the Heat coming up. I want to look at the New York Giants. They're 0-4 at the Dallas Cowboys, 1-3. This game is Sunday. It's a 4:25 p.m. East Coast time kickoff on CBS Sports. And them Cowboys, they're favored by 9.5. Are you buying that, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, didn't we already talk about New York can't run the ball?
Yep.
They can't block.
Yeah.
They can't throw the ball. They can't stop anybody on defense.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. That was the Jets we were talking about earlier.
New York.
Jets, Giants.
Yeah.
If the Cowboys lose this game against the New York Giants, Dolphins, you fire Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can't get your butt back in the locker room. You're fired on the sideline.
Yeah.
That's how bad the New York Giants are. We know that the Dallas Cowboys have one of the most potent offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
But they need to get Ezekiel Elliott over 100 yards on the ground this game. Mike McCarthy needs to stop the bullshitting and get Ezekiel Elliott the ball and get Dallas a balanced offense.
Yeah.
They'll win this game going away. But if they lose, fire him on the sideline.
I think Caldwell's at home eating the Big C burger, and he's a lot better coach. Caldwell got fired for winning 9 games. You got white coaches can't even win 2 games, and people are saying, hey, that's the guy we want. It's all fair and level war. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause. When we come back, I want to finish up with some NFL football. We got some basketball and baseball to talk about also. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. I also want to thank my friends Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels. You can follow Big C Sports and also NFL football on the iHeartRadio Sports Network. We got the Vikings 1-3 at the Seattle Seahawks. They're 4-0 Big C. That's a Sunday 8:20 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on NBC Sports with the great Al Michaels and Collinsworth doing their thing. And the Seahawks are favored by 7 over them bad guys that roll around in ships. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this game will be a test of the Seattle defense. Can they contain Dalvin Cook? Dalvin Cook has had over 310 yards rushing in his last 2 games, which has separated him from the pack and led the Vikings to 2 consecutive victories.
Yeah.
We know your cousin may have a mundane game. Jordan Jefferson's been an outstanding rookie receiver. You always got to keep an eye on Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
But that Vikings defense has been porous all year long. They've been very susceptible to the pass. We know that Russell Wilson is leading the NFL in touchdown pass.
Yep.
So he should have his same good old day. And DK Metcalf is going to be a mismatch against those smaller Vikings defensive backs. If Chris Carson is healthy, Russell Wilson is sharp, they'll cover that 7-point spread.
Yeah, DK just has to hold on to the football the way he does barbells. Big C's all fair and love. The final war coming up for this weekend. You have a team that's much better than their record, in my opinion. The LA Chargers, they're 1-3. They're at the New Orleans Saints that are at 2-2. But I know that Hurricane is coming down into the Delta and is going to have a lot of people on edge down in New Orleans, and it may affect some of the way the players play. I don't know, but I want to get your opinion on that. It's a Monday, 8:25 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on ESPN. And the Saints, even with the hurricane and the storm coming in, they're still favored by 8. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, they're playing inside, so they don't have to worry about the ball getting wet. And the Saints tend to play better when they have bad weather down there in New Orleans. Justin Herbert has had an outstanding start to his rookie season, but it has not produced victories. He's been able to get rid of the ball. He's been very accurate, Charlton. But this New Orleans defense knows where he will be in the pocket.
Yeah.
And that pass rush has come on the past couple of games for the New Orleans Saints. And so it's going to be a tough outing for him. He's going to be without Austin Eckler, even though he has Williams and Allen on the outside as receivers, a great tandem.
Yep.
I don't know if that New Orleans defensive pass rush will be able to get to Drew Brees. He's going to get rid of the ball much quicker in this game. He's going to dink and dunk, and New Orleans should be able to squeak this out at home.
I wanna say that's Big C's thoughts on the NFL weekend coming up, and I hope that everybody can enjoy the Big C burger with you. Watch the game. It's made with exotic meats. It really is a tasty burger. It's a really tasty burger. Make sure you enjoy that at participating restaurants. I wanna add some caveats, Big C. The NFL New York Jets, they send all players and coaches home after positive COVID-19 tests resurface at the facilities. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is what the NFL is going to have to get accustomed to, Charlton. This is just the beginning of the onslaught that's about to happen with this league. They talk about a 16-game schedule, Charlton.
Yeah.
The NFL, the way things look now, and the season will be elongated, they may be lucky to get in 12 to 14 games on the season, because they're going to have to pull the plug a bit and say, okay, we've had enough. Let's just get to the championship like the NBA did.
Yeah, I know it's one thing to say these are grown men. They can make up their own minds, Big C. Iceberg straight ahead. NFL football, the Tennessee Titans Week 5 game postponed to Tuesday. We already previewed it, Big C, to Tuesday night, sparking Week 6 schedule change for Buffalo. And that's a report that came up, Big C. Your thoughts?
And this is one of the things the NFL is going to have to contend with, Charlton. When they're talking to the network, and you're demanding $30 million of broadcast games,
yeah.
You do that for the weekend when you have the total audience, Charlton. They're not looking, the network is not looking to be putting on games midweek, because Tuesday night is not an NFL night. Then you turn it around, you got Thursday night, which people have become somewhat accustomed to.
Yeah.
But you got to look at the clock of the player's body. If you're playing a Tuesday game, you turn around playing a Sunday game, you're going to get players hurt if you keep doing this.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, but it's not about the players, Big C. It's all about that. Even if you crumble up money, it still spends very well. NFL iceberg straight ahead for the second week in a row. The NFL has been forced, Big C, to move Sunday's matchup to Monday night due to COVID-19. And you have the Broncos and the Patriots in a Week 5 matchup. You know, to me, at some point in time, it really is the iceberg straight ahead. Your thoughts?
Well, I can see the movement of the Patriots game, Jonathan. They just played on a Monday, so that gives them that full week of rest. But as a player, you get your biological clock set to play at a certain time.
Yeah.
And now instead of playing on that day, now you got to move it a day beyond that, Jonathan. And it starts messing up your whole system as far as timing.
Yeah. I just hope that players are safe. I know, talking to you many times, they give you that 7 days before you play the next game, but you also have practice inside of those 7 games too. It's all fair and level war. I just hope the players can do their things. I also want to make sure that when I talked about the Chicago Bears and that win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a 20-19 victory, for the Bears, it marked their 3rd win in the season after trailing by double digits, which you believe is tied for the most of all the teams in the first 5 games in NFL history. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when you think about the Bears and what they've done offensively, this is the cardiac Bears.
Yeah.
You can call them that. Being able to come from behind and capture those victories, Charlton. This is a team that's not giving up. And when you have a great defense, this is what it allows. And that's what I'm talking about there. Everybody wants to scrutinize Brady.
Yeah.
You don't scrutinize Brady. You give praise to the Chicago defense.
Yeah.
No one scrutinized any quarterback when they played against the 85 Bears. And this Bears defense is trying to be just as tenacious.
Yeah, they're trying to be just as tenacious. It's all fair and level war. And speaking of tenacious, college football, as a precautionary measure, Baylor Athletics, they suspended all football-related activities for the next 2 weeks, Big C, to allow for further evaluation of a recent positive test with COVID-19 and the completion of close contact tracing, Big C. At this time, and in the interest of the student-athletes and the coaches and the staff, they've temporarily suspended all football-related activities. Their health and wellness will always be the top priority. That comes from Baylor Athletic Director Mac B. Rhodes. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you think about you're putting your football program on pause for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This is putting the Big 12 season in jeopardy, Charlton, because you're putting that program on pause. That means that that's 2 other opponents that they would not have an opportunity to play over that time unless you try to schedule that game for later in the season.
Yeah.
So this is going to become the norm in college football, is that a team who can play 7, 8, maybe 9 games will be the best team in the country.
Yeah, isn't that something? And speaking of teams that can play games, college football in Kansas, Big C, home of the Kansas Comet, the late Gale Sears, Kansas head football coach Les Miles, he announced that he's been diagnosed with COVID-19. In a statement Thursday, Big C, Miles said that he will continue with his duties as head coach while undergoing quarantine in the process. How do you continue with your duties as head coach? You're not going to be at practice, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, coaches can do things remotely. We saw that at Liberty University with Hugh Freeze last year when he was coaching from a hospital bed up in the press box.
Really?
But this shows you the problem with the Big 12. You talked about Baylor, you know, having to pause all activities.
Yeah.
Now you got the head coach of Kansas, part of the Big 12.
Yeah.
Who has COVID-19. We saw earlier in the year with the number of Big 12 players that were testing positive. I don't see college football making it through the playoffs.
I don't know what they're going to do, Big C, because we're talking about the players. What about all the people behind the scenes that we don't hear about? College football Saturdays, Florida Atlantic at Southern Mississippi, Big C, and they may be affected, of course, that storm, but they've also been postponed because of COVID-19 issues at Florida Atlantic University. And Florida Atlantic University is only played 1 game thus far this year, Big C. Your thoughts?
1 game. You think about this. This is the state of Florida, and we know how hot COVID-19 has been down in the state of Florida, and the governor, Ron DeSantis, opened up the entire state last week, saying that all stadiums can have 100% capacity. Here's Florida Atlantic, you know, with COVID-19 rampant on the campus, and they've had to cancel all of their games except for the 1 game that they played. Yeah,
that's just crazy to me. I know there's a lot of big games coming up all over the weekend, and I wish the players nothing but the best. Louisville's playing at Georgia Tech tonight, Big C. On Saturday, we have number 3 Florida. They're 2-0 at Texas A&M, 1-1. Number 18 Virginia Tech. They're 2-0 at number 9 North Carolina, 2-0. And then number 16, last year's defending national champion LSU Tigers. They are 1-1 at Missouri, which is 0-2. Big C, I want to ask you about the Texas-Oklahoma game. We have number 22 Texas, and they're playing against Oklahoma, which inexplicably is, you know, they're only 1-2. That game's in Dallas. Does that game still have the feel when you have a team like Oklahoma that's coming in with more losses than wins? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this game is known as the Red River Rivalry. This year is almost like the Scared River Rivalry. You're looking at this game, and you know the winner, the loser of this game is automatically eliminated from college football playoff contention.
Yeah.
Texas has one loss on the season, led by senior Sam Ehlinger, who leads college football in touchdown passes this year.
Yeah.
You know, Oklahoma is led by Spencer Rattler, the freshman quarterback, who can make all the throws, but he's also made a lot of freshman mistakes.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma can right the ship and get off of that losing streak, Charlton, because think about it, this would be 3 consecutive losses. The first time in Lincoln Riley's career that he suffered 3 consecutive losses if he loses to Texas.
Yeah.
But if Texas loses this game, the Big 12 is basically eliminated from the college football playoff.
Yeah, the Pac-12 said, hey, we'll take the spot, Big C. Number 12, Tennessee 2-0 at number 3, Georgia 2-0. That's a really big game in the SEC, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, this is old-time football that Tennessee has gotten healthy under Coach Jeremy Pruitt. This is their first 2-0 start in several years.
Yeah.
And so all the volunteer faithful are really excited. But Georgia has a damn good football team.
Yeah.
You saw what they did last week in their game against South Carolina. This is a team that can play some football. They got some hard-throwing dogs down there in Athens.
Yeah.
And so I see this being a snot knocker and Georgia coming out in the end.
Yeah. You got some good old words. This snot locker sounds like Mike Pence and Donald Trump, the kind of rallies they go to, Big C. Texas San Antonio 3-1 at number 15, BYU 3-0. Texas Tech 1-2 at number 24, Iowa State 2-1. Arkansas 1-1 at number 13, Auburn also 1-1. I got to bring you to this couple of more big games before we get on to some baseball and then the Lakers and a few more things, Big C. We have Alabama. They're ranked number 2 in the country. Some polls have them number 1. But they're playing at Mississippi, which is also, you know, a pretty good team, but they're 1-1. Give me your feeling on Alabama. Can they survive the aerial attack that they may face, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, this is Lane Kiffin versus Nick Saban.
Yeah.
I give Nick Saban a nod. Daniel Jones is a lot better quarterback at Alabama than what people give him credit for. It's the system now that they run in Alabama. They have so many great athletes. You know, Mississippi will be outmanned in this game, and they will throw the ball consistently. If you remember the opening game of the season when Kyle Trask threw for 6 touchdowns against Mississippi, Daniel Jones will do at least 4.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you that when the LSU players were all sick of COVID, it seemed they just didn't tell anybody. We have number 7, Miami Hurricanes. If this could be the old days of the Miami Hurricanes, Big C, under the late, the Jimmy Johnson when he was doing his thing, and then they had Howard Schellenberger, a lot of good players and coaches down there. They're ranked number 7, and they're 3-0. They're on the road at number 1 Clemson, 3-0. I'm telling you, I don't know if anywhere in the country can you find better athletes than Florida, California, and Texas, Big C. And Georgia has a lot of good athletes, too. Does Miami have any opportunity, in your opinion, of knocking off Clemson, or will they come back down to earth, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, all the good athletes in California leave because they want to go win. But, you know, this is the best opportunity that Florida's had in some time to compete against Clemson.
Yeah.
De'Aaron King makes all the difference in the game at quarterback for the Hurricanes. This guy is a dual threat. He's just as strong with his legs as he is with his arms. He's that diminutive quarterback that reminds a lot of people of the guy Kyler Murray out there with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
And he brings that same type of pressure on the Clemson defense that Kyler Murray did a few years ago. So this is going to be Clemson's true challenge this year. If they get past the Hurricanes, it's smooth sailing all the way. If the Hurricanes win, they'll be in the national championship hunt. Yeah,
it's ironic. There's a big hurricane hitting the South. I think the Miami Hurricanes are going to knock off Clemson. It's just the way that things appear when hurricanes come to town, and I hope people are safe down on the South Coast. Lot of football going on. Last one for college football, Big C. Florida State 1-2. At number 5, Notre Dame, which is 2-0. But Notre Dame they've had a lot of canceled games, Big C. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but Florida State has no talent. The Irish will walk in this game.
Yeah, they'll walk, but they better try running if they don't want to get thrown out at third base, if that makes sense to you. I want to jump into some Major League Baseball. Mookie Betts, Big C. The Dodgers sweep the Padres. They set up the NLCS showdown with the Atlanta Braves. The Los Angeles Dodgers have advanced to the next postseason round after defeating the San Diego Padres 12-1 in Game 3. And when we said they were Padres, POTUS wanted to go down and see if he could put up a wall, Big C, if that makes any sense to you. But they win 12-3. National League Division Series on Thursday at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. The Dodgers use a 5-run third inning to turn a 2-1 deficit into a 6-2 edge. And they take a 1-run each in the fourth before they ended up knocking out the Padres. They smacked 14 hits with catcher Will Smith leading the team with 5, a franchise playoffs record. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Dodgers are in familiar territory. They've been in the NLCS 5 of the last 6 years, but it has not paid dividends yet, Charlton. So, I mean, they've been a great postseason team, but they have not been able to host the Holy Grail.
Yeah, they're going to try to host it this time, Big C. The Atlanta Braves, they sweep the Miami Marlins. I mean, think about this. If the lights out pitching, the Braves finish a 3-game sweep of the Miami Marlins. Thursday, a 7-0 whitewashing, Big C. Thursday, led by six shutout innings in Major League Baseball from rookie starter Kyle Wright. Atlanta improved to 5-0 this postseason with 4 wins in the coming via the shutout, Big C. The Braves joined the 1905 New York Giants as the only team with 4 postseason shutouts in 5 games at any point in the postseason. Big C, your thoughts?
And that's what the postseason is all about, Charlton, is pitching. You think about that, you've gone out there and you shut out your
everybody
4 games
yeah.
in the postseason.
Yeah.
That means that nobody's getting a hit. And
nobody.
That's what the Atlanta Braves, when they're strong, they're strong. When they had their runs back in the 90s, Charlton,
yeah.
they were led by pitching. And now they have a pitching staff that's duplicating that. When you set a major league record in 2020, that means that you're going to be held on your next round opponent.
Yeah, they really will, Big C. And I want to bring up this manager, Dusty Baker. When he went into the Houston job, there was so much stuff going on because of the videotaping. A lot of guys, they were just videotaping. I thought they were taking selfies, but they had all kind of video recording equipment going on. So the Houston Astros, they bring in Dusty Baker, he's been there before. He's been there with the Giants, with the Cincinnati Reds, and also the Chicago Cubs. He's always in postseason when he doesn't, when he gets an opportunity. So now the Houston Astros, they're headed to another ALCS, and the Houston Astros beating the Oakland A's on Thursday and moving into the ALCS Championship Series. But I really want to commend Dusty Baker, a Northern California product. I believe he went to Del Campo High School up in the Sacramento area. I think he's the right fit for this club. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, no one wanted the Houston Astros to be there after the scandal that they went through in the offseason.
Yeah.
Of the alleged cheating that they did.
Allegedly.
But this game now, Charlton, they're not playing in front of fans, so they don't have that adversarial crowd that they have to contend with. It's about what you do between the lines.
Yeah.
And the Houston Astros have delivered. They've gotten back into the ALCS, and they're a contender for the World Series once again.
They are a contender for the World Series. And I know some games still going on, so I don't like to give things away, but the New York Yankees ace Garrett Cole, would you believe he's never made a major league start on fewer than traditional 4 days of rest, and neither has Tampa Bay's flamethrower Tyler Glasnow, Big C. Nonetheless, both will be on the mound tonight in winner-take-all Game 5, the American League Divisional Series, and all AL East rivals have their final duel of 2020. I know Garrett Cole's a bad boy, but so is his compadre on the other side, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is the reason why the Yankees paid Garrett Cole $340 million moment.
Yeah.
And when you think about what Giancarlo Stanton has done with the bat, he's blasted 6 home runs in this series.
Yeah.
So they need another big night from Giancarlo Stanton. They got to get at least 7 innings out of Garrett Cole, Charlton, of shutdown baseball if the Yankees want to advance. The Rays are not scared. The Rays are playing with house money. They were the best team in the East this year.
Yeah.
And they expect to come out and be their usual self and take down the mighty Yankees.
Big C, I want to just ask you this. I know baseball is amazing. I know we have we all got our opinion. I think the NBA, but they're happy that the Lakers are in the finals tonight, just because of what happened. David Stern, then Kobe Bryant, and now COVID-19, and they're in a bubble of all places. Who do you think America wants to see in the 2020 Major League Baseball World Series? We got the Dodgers, we got Atlanta Braves, New York Yankees, Houston Astros, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big C, your thoughts? I mean, the Rays.
When you think about baseball, I think people are a little burnt out on the Dodgers getting there and not producing.
No, don't say that.
I know people don't want to see the Houston Astros because of all the flack that they took during the offseason.
Yeah.
The Rays would be a great story out of Tampa, being a first-time team. Been there. We know that the Yankees have always been around. So, realistically, I would like to see Atlanta and the Rays based on the pitching that they've given up. These are two young franchises, Charlton, that I think would be great on the national stage.
Yeah.
And since we don't have a home field advantage, I think it would work with both of those.
Yeah, and I want to say I want you to what they call recuse yourself from the vote. You only pick Southern schools. There's a little bit something fishy going on in my opinion. I still want to see the Dodgers and the Yankees, my opinion. NBA playoff basketball in the bubble. The LA Lakers versus Miami Heat. China television, CCTV will televise Game 5 for the first broadcast in China in over a year. The NBA did donate over $1 million for medical equipment and to the country of China. But we have the big game tonight, Big C. Everybody order the Big C burger. It really is a tasty burger. You have the LA Lakers. They're chasing number 17, Big C. And you have the Miami Heat. They're trying to cool off the Lakers, Big C. Give me Big C's feeling on what both teams need to see tonight in order for the Heat to move on to the weekend or for the Lakers to splash them out tonight, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a foregone conclusion that the Lakers are going to win. It's basically anticlimactic. This is a situation where the Lakers are going to come out and do all that they need to do to win. The fixtures are not going to get in the way of the Lakers. Matter of fact, they're going to help them out and aid them in what they need to do. The NBA season has been in enough turmoil. It's all about getting these players out of there and keeping them healthy and getting them back home. So the Lakers will win the title tonight at 5. LeBron James will be named the series MVP, and the Lakers will hoist number 17 for the Los Angeles Lakers history.
Now, I know that you're very honest with things, and I think the whole sports universe feels the same way. It's ironic how, but there's always the person in Vegas saying, you know what, the whole world's betting on the Lakers. Let's do some shenanigans and make a whole lot of money tonight, Big Z. It is a great atmosphere. Even with no fans, it's still a great atmosphere. You have Bam Adebayo doing this thing for the Heat. You're also going to have Butler. Butler has to play Big C. No matter what those two guys do, they still have to shoot the three. But when you shoot threes and you miss, you don't get rebounds. For the Lakers, of course, LeBron James, he will do his thing. Davis will do his thing. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Rajon Rondo, in my opinion, they got to have big games. But if there's something that we're not seeing, Big C, if the Miami Heat can somehow pull that rabbit out of their hat, then what would they have to do as far as getting points and production off the bench? Your thoughts?
Well, the Lakers are going to have to lay down for 3.5 quarters. It's not going to happen. This game is over at the tip-off. This is a game that the Lakers will walk through gallantly and be hoisting the NBA championship trophy at the end. This is not going to be a game 6. You have to understand that sometimes that Vegas is irrelevant. Vegas is irrelevant to the players that are playing because these players are multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
They want the ring. They want to get this over with, Charleston, and they want to get the hell out the bubble.
So when I think of players, there's always talk. You and I talk all the time. Other broadcasters talk all the time about who they think is the best player of all time. When I do look at the Miami Heat, there's a thing with Pat Riley. I mean, he's had such a storied career and a great life, but so many things going on in life. I mean, he just really had the great fortune of being able to be in the business that he's in. But it's ironic that here's a guy in Pat Riley that ran Showtime when the Lakers were doing their thing in Inglewood under Kareem and Magic and Scott and all them good old boys, Worthy. And then he happened to pick up a jewel by the name of LeBron James when he had him with Dwayne Wade. And they also had some other supporting cast down there, Big C. Jesus Shuttleworth is what I like to call him, and Ray Allen. But give me your thoughts on what Pat Riley's thinking. He's groomed the Lakers back in the day, and he's also groomed the Miami Heat. How is he feeling about what he's done in the world of basketball? Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this started when he was in college in Kentucky because he won a national championship in 1964 when he was at Kentucky. He was fortunate enough to win another championship as a player with the Lakers in 1971 and go ahead on and coach the Lakers to 3 titles as a head coach. So he's been very fortunate as a coach in the NBA. When he inherited the Miami Heat, he was able to win a title with Shaq and Dwayne Wade down there. So this is a guy who's been a basketball guru his entire life. He has worked hard for the esteem that he has gained in the game. He's been around some great coaches from the time he started with Adolph Rupp in Kentucky, moving on to the Lakers, Charlton, and getting his tutelage there.
Yeah.
And then inheriting the ball club and taking what he learned and making a couple of great organizations.
Yeah, I mean, he's really done a great job. I know people focus on the players all the time. And then you go across the country, Big C, to the Lake Show, the LA Lakers, and you have, of course, LeBron James right now. He's on the He's the king of the mountain when it comes to the NBA. The celebration of celebrating Kobe Bryant, the Mamba, and what he meant to the Laker organization, the only franchise he ever played for, the late Kobe Bryant for the LA Lakers. But then you think about guys like Kareem. Kareem scored more points than anyone in the history of the NBA. You have guys like Magic Johnson that played every position in a playoff tournament and in the playoffs, Big C, for the Lakers also. But I got to get your feeling. When you think about Shaq, you think about Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, you always have, in my opinion, the greatest Laker will always be Kareem. He's the only one with a skyhook. I know people say Kobe, they say Magic. LeBron, where does he fit in that pantheon of excellence with you, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, he does not rank in the top 5 Lakers of all time, John. You got to understand guys who spent their career there in Los Angeles in integral parts. LeBron has just been rented out there for a couple of years. You got to start with Elgin Baylor, Jerry West. You talk about Wilt. You talk about Magic, Kareem.
Yeah.
You're talking about guys like the Mamba, Kobe Bryant. When you talk about the greatest Lakers of all time, Charlton, LeBron is one of the greatest players in NBA history, but he's not one of the greatest Lakers of all time.
Yeah, and you got to win some multiple championships if you want to put up.
It's not even the multiple championships. It's what they did in their career. You got to understand when Elgin Baylor never won a championship.
Yeah.
But when he left the NBA, he was one of the top 5 scorers of all time.
Yeah.
Jerry West only won one. He was in the top 5 scorers of all time. Wilt was the all-time leading scorer.
Yeah.
He won 1 title with the Lakers. Kareem won 4, but and he was the NBA's all-time leading scorer.
Yeah.
But the Mamba, Magic, you think about Worthy. You think about guys who have hosted the trophy multiple times for the Lakers.
Yeah.
And that are in the all-time Lakers statistical category. LeBron will never get there.
Yeah. I hope they win, but man, sometimes you ever eat something to give you a little indigestion, Big C? It's just a feeling. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I was saying they wouldn't play NFL football because of all the COVID, even though they're kicking that season around with NFL football. I just want to see a great game. I want the Lakers to win because I grew up on the West Coast liking, the Lake Show over the years, Big C. And no matter what happens, it's really been a lot for the NBA fans and their families to go through what they've gone through. And I really appreciate that. Even the NBA is asking everyone to get out and vote. It's really important to do that. I want to close out, Big C, a couple of more stories. When you think about pro sports, I want to get your thoughts on, this has been a crazy 2020, it really has. But I want to get Big C's thoughts on who has been the most successful executive in pro sports in a crazy 2020 season, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Chelsea, we always talk about blacks getting an opportunity to be executives in professional sports.
Yeah.
The most successful executive in 2020 in professional sports has been Magic Johnson. When you think about Magic Johnson's role with the Lakers, he's an executive with the Lakers. He's an executive with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He is the only executive in professional sports this year who has an opportunity to get 2 championship rings. He's going to get his first tonight with the Los Angeles Lakers for 2020.
Yeah.
But he still has an opportunity because the Dodgers are alive in the NLCS. And if they can make it to the World Series and win it, Magic Johnson will win championship rings and trophies in 2 professional sports in the same calendar year, and he's an African American.
that's really incredible. So much for Black Americans not being able to have the acumen for leadership. We know that's all been a lie. And I just really appreciate what Magic Johnson has done with his life in the world of sports, and also after the days of playing. And I really look forward to learning more about the journey of African Americans. There's real diversity in sports. More African Americans executives are seeking opportunities and power. Do you think with what Magic is able to do, it maybe opens up more doors? It just, a lot of what they do is behind the scenes, though. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, what only as an executive do you see that's out in the forefront, Charlton? What you do as an executive is that you put the people in the place that will bring you success.
Yeah.
That's what executives do.
Yeah.
They don't sit there and try to cook the meal.
Yeah.
They put a chef in the kitchen. They put their name on the restaurant.
Yeah.
But they hire an executive chef to
Yeah.
put him in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And let him cook the meal. And that's what Magic has done. Magic wasn't a baseball man, but he enthroned himself in ownership of the Dodgers. And ever since he's been in ownership of the Dodgers, they've been in the NLCS and the World Series.
Yeah.
And now he has the Lakers back on that pedestal, Charlton, getting LeBron and Anthony Davis to come over to Los Angeles. And they've lifted the Lakers back to once glory days that they had in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
So Magic, everything that he has touched has turned to gold, just like his name, magic.
Yep, it's all magic. You believe in magic, I believe in magic. I wish everybody the best. Shreveport, Louisiana, Alexandria, you have Baton Rouge, Louisiana, New Orleans, even parts of Houston. Please heed the warnings with Hurricane Delta. It nears landfall tonight already. I just hope that people can heed the warnings and evacuate. Also, for everybody, you got to get out and vote. It's so important. I know Shaq said he's finally voted. Congratulations on that. But a lot of guys, please don't let our parents and grandparents down. Text the word VOTE to 26797. Get registered. Tell them Big C sent you. Everybody's saying do it. You just got to do it. Big C. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C. What are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, earlier in the week we had a vice presidential debate, and it was aired in China. But they muted the vice president, Mike Pence. Nobody wanted to listen to him. But tonight in China, they're going to be airing the finals of NBA Championship 2020.
Wow.
Tell me that Black Lives don't matter around the world, because they'll have the audio and the visual playing of the NBA tonight in China.
Isn't that amazing?
And I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, our doctors, our first responders, because they care about everybody's life.
Yeah, they care about everybody's life. You guys stay away from the rallies with POTUS and COVID-19 and POTUS. The election's in about 24 days, 25 days away. He's going to be kicked out of office, and he's trying to take as many people with him. Don't get sick and take it back home to your family. The man is sick. He really is. You don't have to be sick. Every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, you can follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help. And stay away from the rallies. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.